We're going to talk a bit today about the troubled New York Giants, this once proud signature franchise of the National Football League. And you see how once again they have stumbled out of the gates. Through 7 games, they are now 2-5. Brian Daboll, now in his 3rd year as head coach, along with the vice president and general manager of the Giants, Joe Schoen, they are not getting it done. We were perhaps hoodwinked in the first year of this regime because they surprisingly, with Daniel Jones at quarterback, made the postseason, made the playoffs, and actually won a game. They defeated the Minnesota Vikings. But they have really stumbled since. Last year was a disaster, 6-11. This year they are 2-5. And most disturbingly, they look bad in losing. Their last game against the Philadelphia Eagles, which they lost 28-3, was a disgrace. And they lost at home again. At home, the Giants are 0-4 at home. Can you believe that? Rule number 1, if you're going to be a team that has any kind of caliber, is you take care of business at home. They are 0-4 in the Meadowlands. That's awful. And Daboll gets out there, says the usual stuff. We have to do better. We have to do better as coaches. We have to do better as players. Daniel has to do better. In fact, he benched Jones in the 4th quarter of the loss against Philadelphia, although he says Jones will start in their game against Pittsburgh. But think about this for just a moment. The Giants' next 2 games are at Pittsburgh and at home against Washington before they go into the bye week. And there is a very good possibility they could end up 2-7 past what would be the halfway point of the season. 2-7. It's the same old story. Yes, they have an issue with Daniel Jones at quarterback. There's no question about it. Although at times he looks good, he is not the quarterback of the future. I know that offensive line needs work, but that whole team needs work. Even the defense needs work. At times they look good, all those sacks. At other times they just fall apart. The Giants, as currently composed, are not a representative product. That's not the kind of product you expect in year 3 of a rebuild. So what has to happen? Are the Giants going to fire Daboll? Are they going to clean house again and let both Schoen and Daboll go? How often do you do this? I mean, going back since their last Super Bowl win under Tom Coughlin in the 2012 season, they've made the playoffs twice. But I mean, it's been a disaster other than those 2 seasons. It really has. And they keep switching coaches. You can't keep doing that. But I am afraid to say they're probably going to have to do it. But this time they need to bring in an experienced coach. Other than Pat Shermer, the Giants have brought in these assistant coaches, these wizards who are really going to build a dynasty. And these are coaches who are outstanding, come highly recommended, and they're going to make the Giants a sustained contender. It hasn't happened, and it's not happening again now. It's very, very disconcerting. If you're a New York Giants fan, it's very, very disconcerting to see what has happened to this once proud franchise. Yes, they've been to 5 Super Bowls and won 4 of them, but beyond that, it's either feast or famine, and it's mostly famine, because if they're not in a Super Bowl, they, for the most part, they languish in the bottom of the standings, and it continues time and time again. The Philadelphia Eagles are not a good football team. They are not a good football team, and now they're 4-2. And Saquon Barkley just stuck it in the Giants' face in the game on Sunday. But the Philadelphia Eagles are not a good football team, and they embarrassed the Giants at MetLife Stadium on Sunday, embarrassed them. So what has to happen? You have 3 people lingering. You've got Bill Belichick, right? You've got Pete Carroll, and you've got Mike Vrabel. All 3 people very qualified to take over this franchise. All I am saying is there's no question Brian Daboll's job is now hanging by a thread, because not only are the Giants losing, they're losing badly. They are losing showing no hustle. They are losing with a very lethargic approach. That has got to stop. That's on the coaching staff. To a degree, yes, it's on the players, but that is on the coaching staff. And something has to turn around quickly. And I don't see how it's going to happen. They're going out to Pittsburgh. where the Steelers are 5-2, and Russell Wilson is now licking his chops, being able to go up against the Giants? You really believe that the Giants are going to be able to turn it around against Pittsburgh? And then Washington, which is playing very good football, the Giants want to be Washington, the way the Commanders have turned it around under a new coach in less than a year's time. Yes, they've got a great quarterback, certainly better than Daniel Jones, and you build a franchise on a quarterback who has a future. The Giants wish they were the Commanders right now. Do you really think that the Commanders are going to go into MetLife Stadium and lose to the Giants? So more than likely, that's going to put New York at 2-7 going into the bye week. And if ownership is going to make a change, they need to make it then. I believe they need to make it now, but it's not going to happen. Not going to happen when the Pittsburgh game just stays away. And then, of course, you've got the game against the Washington Commanders after that at home. Not going to happen. In fact, that Commanders game starts a stretch of 3 straight home games with that bye week mixed in. And if the Giants are going to make a coaching change, no more of this interim stuff. I know the league has a protocol set up as to when you hire a coach, and that's why a lot of these coaches, when they come in mid-season, are interim, because you have to go through a protocol in the NFL when hiring a head coach. I understand it. You've got 3 coaches out there who are really available. 3 coaches who could fit the bill right now. Will it be Bill Belichick? Well, I would say if it was me and I was the Giants ownership, if I was the Maras or the Tisches, I'd say to Belichick, here's the keys. It's all yours. Run with it. Run with it until you're 80 years old. Turn it around. That's what I would do. But you've also got Vrabel out there. You've got Carroll out there. But the clock is ticking. And right now, the clock is ticking on how much longer Brian Daboll is going to be the head coach and how much longer Joe Schoen is going to be the general manager, because the product the Giants are putting on the field right now is unacceptable. Unacceptable for the 3rd year of a rebuild. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. As always, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. And well, I invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. You can do that by going to sportscasterdan.com.